Most of the time, when we think of must see movies, we think of the classics. But I wanted to make suggestions for films that have come out in the last decade. So, to tackle this, I figured I'd go through a bunch of different genres and give what I consider to be the film that most needs to be seen for that genre. One stipulation, I will not be including any films that are dependent on having seen others. So, for an example, while Avengers Endgame is a must see film, it's only a must see if you've watched all the rest of the Marvel films leading up to it. Action Baby Driver. There's been a lot of great action films in the last decade, but many of them are part of a franchise and have the stipulation that it's only must see if you've seen the other films. Baby Driver, on the other hand, is a standalone and a great one at that. This film could fit into a few different categories like crime or even musical, and it would still be completely deserving of its place as a must see. It mostly went under the radar, but deserves a ton of praise. Edgar Wright's style lends perfectly to this action film, which essentially is a feature length music video. The rhythmic nature of the action sequences really holds it above any other action movie. Other suggestion Sicario. Adventure, Moana. Without including franchise films, the 2010s weren't the strongest for adventure films, and none have the feelings of the 80s adventure films like Indiana Jones and The Goonies. But one great adventure belongs to Moana. This Disney animated film tells a great seafaring and coming of age tale of a young woman. A combination of beautiful animation, charming characters, and catchy music numbers propels viewers through. Other suggestions? None. Comedy, Jojo Rabbit. While comedies are generally easily recommendable, few can achieve the status of must-see. Taika Waititi's award-winning adaptation of Jojo Rabbit is one of these exceptions. The film satirizes Nazi Germany and gets away with it by pointing a finger at just how insane they were, and how crazy it is that humanity ever let anything like that even happen. With the serious nature of the subject matter, it also provides a lot of emotional punch. Other suggestions: The Grand Budapest Hotel. Coming of age, Boyhood. This is one of my favorite genres, and as you'll notice, a couple of the other categories have films that could just as easily fit here. However, I absolutely had to pick Boyhood. This film was shot over the course of 12 years, and we literally see the main character come of age. This style of filmmaking alone makes it a must-watch. Other suggestion, Lady Bird. Crime, Drive. There were quite a few crime movies that ultimately could have made this list, but I had to go all the way back to the start of the decade to find my modern must-see crime film. Drive tells a quiet story of a professional driver turning to crime in order to protect the loved ones he has found. It's dark, violent, and yet very beautiful. Other suggestion, Joker. Drama, Moonlight. A lot of dramas fit into other categories, so it was difficult to narrow my choices down. Moonlight also fits as a coming-of-age story, but it is my belief that the drama outweighs it. This film tells the story of a young gay black man at different stages in his life. First as a child, then a teen, and finally an adult. We see the experiences and lessons he learns early on and how they affect him later on. This film also won a very deserving Best Picture Oscar. Other suggestion, Whiplash. Horror, The Cabin in the Woods. I don't watch too many horror films, so if I do, they generally have to be pretty good. The Cabin in the Woods gives a great commentary on the genre, so horror fanatics will get a lot out of it, and it's a fun film so that casual fans like myself can also enjoy it. Other suggestion, Get Out. Musical, La La Land. 2010s were perhaps surprisingly strong for musicals. My pick, however, was a no-brainer, with La La Land being an instant classic of the genre. The filmmaking is masterful with its cinematography, use of colors, staging, and acting. The music is, of course, also amazing, with well choreographed dance numbers. Other suggestion, Les Miserables. Mystery, Knives Out. Mystery films disappeared for a while, or were just secondary to another genre, but they started to come back in this last decade, and none showcased the genre better than Rian Johnson's whodunit mystery, Knives Out. The unique take on the genre makes it feel fresh, but it still manages to surprise you with a twist at the end. Other suggestion, Shutter Island. Romance, Midnight in Paris. More recently, I've ventured more into the romance genre, but with that said, Midnight in Paris has been a favorite of mine since its debut in 2011. It's maybe not the most typical romance film, as it has some elements of fantasy or sci-fi. The film perhaps portrays the city of Paris more romantically than the relationship itself, and it's beautifully done. Other suggestion, Call Me By Your Name. Science fiction, Ex Machina. Science fiction was by far the toughest category for me to choose. There were so many great ones that I could probably make a separate post just for them. I landed on Ex Machina, which is both a great film and a great representation of the science fiction genre. It uses its setting to speak to the human condition by allowing viewers to partake in the Turing test. Other suggestions? So many, I'll make another post for them. Thriller, Gone Girl. Thrillers are another genre that have a lot of crossover with the other genres. When it comes to making a good thriller, there's no one better than David Fincher. And his film, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, could have just as easily made this list. However, I decided to go with his other thriller from the last decade, Gone Girl. This film does exactly what a thriller should. It keeps you thrilled. The mystery and turns throughout keep you on the edge of your seat. Other suggestion, Split. War, 1917. I don't watch many war movies, so there was only a few to choose from, but with that said, even had I seen 100 other war movies, I think I would still choose 1917. It's just such a masterfully created film, and at this point probably my all-time favorite war film. The craftsmanship of the filmmaking matched with the storytelling make this film a can't miss. Other suggestions? Dunkirk. Western, Logan. There was a slight resurgence of westerns in the last decade, giving this some competition. Despite the increased number of westerns, I would still give it to the superhero take on them with Logan. This film takes the X-Men franchise into new territory, going for a more adult and violent film with a western style. Watch the film in black and white for an even more authentic, old-school western feel. Despite being in a franchise, this film also stands on its own, making it eligible for my list. You don't have to know about Logan's history to see he makes a tremendous cowboy hero. Other suggestion? The Hateful Eight. That gives us 14 different genres and the must-see movies of the last 10 years to go with them. Obviously, most of these categories have more films that could be considered, but these are my personal preferences for each. I would love to know which ones you have seen or are now interested in seeing, and which films would make your list. This is the end card, which means you've made it to the end of the video, so thank you for watching. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more, maybe hit subscribe.